Hey everyone, Dave Greco here, and today I wanted to bring you a brand new hair tutorial on how I go about creating hair for my characters currently. It's a big part of my own work and was something I wanted to be able to share with all of you, so let's not waste any time and dive right into it. So this is basically how I would tackle hair when starting to paint a character. I did paint a lot of the character in, and most of the sketch phase would include the hair as well, but I just wanted to have some type of base body here to start with as we show you guys how we do the hair. For me, I love like super flowy and long hair, and I really want to keep my pen moving as fast as possible in doing this type of stuff. Like if I can find some really nice long lines, that helps me a lot, and I can find some cool movement with it. And so you're always trying to find like where her head is and what kind of shapes and like how long do I want the hair to go up, down. I want it to kind of drape across her shoulders here. I don't quite mind making a mess with my lines. You can always keep tweaking this stuff. Like even if you're going over the face a bit, Like I said, most of this would be in the sketch phase. I want a lot of lines that kind of curve and kind of like bend back around into themselves. I'm always kind of changing my my brush size as well. And so, I'm not dead set on like where the part is or any of that stuff. And like usual, you probably want to flip this quite a bit. I put her all the way over on this side of the piece because I know for this I really wanted to get a little crazier with the hair. Since this is a hair tutorial, we can show a different kind of way we light parts of the hair back here and all that stuff. So we might as well go all out on how long it is and just have some like huge curl happening. I always like to gradient the color of my hair, whether there's like light poking behind it or anything like that. I think you can have some really nice ways to treat hair. It's actually strange how much I've come to love painting hair when it really was never a thing I thought I would. But I think at first I wanted to treat it like it's one large 3D object with different little parts coming off it. Like there's like a thickness to clumps of hair, but I still want the little strands out a little bit, Like we can have some of the ear poking out right here. And how much is going to be actually sitting on her shoulder here, or who knows what. We'll keep messing with all this movement. It's almost like a curled wave back here. And we can bring this back even more too. I always figure like the movement of hair, especially for some of my paintings, doesn't really need to make a lot of sense as far as like gravity is concerned. Like you can just go pretty crazy with it. Like maybe there's some even coming up here, and who knows. We can keep tweaking all this. And so I'll actually start with these really loose lines. I'll actually paint underneath it pretty quick. So I have this all on its own layer. I'll actually sometimes pop a layer underneath it and just go pretty solid. I actually want to do kind of like a light blue, like silver hair. And we could have that kind of gradient into something else. I might just go like with just a strong color brush to start. I don't need to mess around with other stuff. And then as we kind of go over all this, we can get rid of these shapes here. Sometimes you can cover the whole ear. Sometimes I like to leave like a little bit of the ear poking through. And then it feels like you can at least still have like the placement of where the ear is supposed to be. And you weren't just like totally trying to cover it up. So I'm trying to use like these loose shapes I had before from the pencil sketch to kind of find some other unique little areas of hair. And like most other stuff, that I don't mind this stage being kind of messy. And then we can easily grab this layer later and gradient it if we need to. There we go. This is some unruly hair right here. You know, I don't like to like lasso tool or anything. I like to kind of just go at it with a brush. I feel like I still like to stay kind of loose with it that way. There we go. So basically I can just control click the layer. I'm gonna create a new one. Just grab the airbrush. I do want to kind of just gradient some color in here. Just get like a little bit of variation. And at the same stage, you can actually start getting some areas of highlights and all that stuff that you might want. You can still kind of just brush it around. And that goes the same for some of the darker areas. Like it's fine with if it's the airbrush one right now. I don't mind it looking too soft. We'll go in different little areas and clean it up. Just like this. Okay. So from here, actually, let me go back to, which layer was it? This one right here. I just want to clean up some of these marks that we did put on our face. Since we did spend some time rendering this out, we might as well clean it up a little bit. Just so I don't have to paint over it too much. There we go. And then, you know, we can get the shadows on our face from our hair since we now know where it is, all that type of stuff. So from here, I'm actually going to start painting on top of the hair. I usually grab this DG main brush also. And I might actually kind of start smoothing out little areas or finding inside these little lines where, you know, there might be like a layer of hair underneath where it's sitting. And this is also where I'll start to figure out more of the micro lines of some of these shapes inside the hair. I'll use some of these loose shapes we made at the beginning to kind of guide and figure out some more details, and maybe some things work and some things don't, and then you have to kind of clean it up after. Like maybe this large section works right here, but the way it's going into this part on the left doesn't really work. So we can tweak it and change the direction of the shape. You know, and sometimes I'll make some real nonsense shapes too. Almost none of it makes sense. I'll just start kind of brushing right over it. So like this shape up here probably doesn't make sense to this, the way this kind of shape is going right here, so we'll just paint over it in. You know, I might try to figure out some new ones. But everything we've made is just kind of building on top of each other, you know. I don't really have some like master plan that's happening. All right, so basically we're gonna keep rendering over the top of the hair right here. You know, I like to get rid of some of the line work underneath, but I do like to kind of see it so I can use that kind of guide me if I need to. I'm still just kind of making like these little minor lines underneath. You know, and you can kind of keep adding more little hair curves and lines. You know, we can figure out how we're going to exactly light it later. Then we can bring in some of this red underneath. Just so it actually looks like the hair is sitting on it. And so we want to just kind of keep going back and forth from cutting in these little shapes, making sure things kind of sit down on it. And then I'm kind of like constantly cleaning up the shapes as well. It's really like a lot of the shapes that's important to me. And we do the same thing. I actually take the palm of my own palm off the Cintiq so I can kind of glide across it a little bit faster so the line seems smoother. So we're kind of just trying to find like these small layers of hair. What sits on top, what doesn't. And this hair on this back side, we'll push all this back too. I think once we start adding light and everything to the hair, and some light that's coming through it, that'll really make it pop for us. But this is usually the first phase in the hair that I do. And same with up here. We're trying to figure out what's curving underneath it and what's sitting on top. And this is going to be a lot of hair to render. So that's why I like having that messy underdrawing too. You kind of still find all these little details in here. You weren't really sure if you wanted them when you started it, but then you made those messy lines and they actually turned out pretty cool. Even shapes like this. Alright, I'll flip this thing again. And assuming I'm still having the light coming from like the top left of the piece, we'll kind of treat that the same way, like if there's little divots and valleys inside the hair here. I think that's why I like doing hair. It's almost like some weird abstract drawing or something. You don't have to worry about a ton of specifics, you know. clean up some of this back here. I do like to get like a lot of the hair to this type of step throughout all the hair before we start applying like additional lighting and everything to it. So even these little areas here, I like to find like a nice shape that fits inside it. So from this point on, we're going to be going straight into time-lapse and a little bit of music. Most of this is just keeping your head down and going to polish and rendering. This process took me a little over 2 hours while working on stream, which is a bit longer than usual, but when I'm painting on Twitch, I like to talk a lot while I work. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you at the end.
Too many days in the darkness without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. I see you broken and beat, head pulled down over your eyes. Every part of you wants to surrender, but darling, you were meant to survive. With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head. With every star, we are born again. Open your heart, spend less time in your head. Just like a seed